of you know our teacher, Debbie. Debbie and her husband, Nick, gosh, hopefully many of you know them. To share all of their credentials would take forever. But Debbie was one of the first 2 yoga teachers that ever started teaching for me 19 years ago, 20 years ago, when she was 19 years old. Anyway, she has become so accomplished in the last 20 years. But she and her husband, Nick, are teaching a workshop here this weekend. And their skills include so many things, but acro yoga, which is a partner style of yoga, you could come to the workshop with a partner, or people may be shifting around based on sizes to choose different partners. What you get out of doing a partner yoga workshop is you just understand your body and space in new and different ways. And it's just fun too. It's so much fun. Debbie and Nick are so much fun. They also, Nick's professional skill set is acupuncture, so they'll be bringing some of Chinese medicine and the ideas of the certain points on your body into the program. It's this weekend. I can help you sign up after if you're interested, and you should do it. It's going to be a lot of fun. My name is Lisa. Let's get started. Getting all my parts and pieces in order here. Ready to begin. Hi there at home. Glad you guys could join us. I was a little slow to get everything hooked up today. Hi, Angie. Hi, Isabel. Alrighty. Well, you guys are welcome to turn your cameras on, and I'll come over and help you with your practice too. So we start in child's pose. We almost always start in child's pose. And the reason for that is it gives you some quiet space to start setting up your breathing. Take a deep breath in. And then exhale through your mouth. Make a little bit of noise with it. A deep breath in, open up your mouth, and sigh. Create steady breath. An inhale, a pause, an exhale, and a pause. And it's going to take something. It won't be the way you were breathing when you first came into child's pose. We'll challenge it as we get moving. I'm putting an assisting card on the floor in the front of your mat. One side says yes, the other side says no. You can flip it back and forth between the yes and no sides at any time during the practice. It refers to whether or not you'd prefer to have hands-on assists throughout the practice. On the next inhale, lift your body up into downward facing dog. Upside down letter V-shaped body. Come into the pose and then start exploring. Just discover the pose like you've never been in it before. Some of you may never have been. Some of you, you do it every single day, many times a day, and yet it's never been right now. Bend and straighten your knees and start discovering, is there some space to stretch? Is there space you want to create? Something bothering your body a little bit, a little uncomfortable or painful? And then just start using your breath to work with what is. Take another breath. And when you exhale, look up to your hands and step up to your hands. At the front of the mat, lift up halfway, and from your tail to your crown, stretch long. Exhale, hang down. Now open up your feet. Make a really broad and sturdy base. And keep your breath flowing while you do that. You can fold your arms and hold your opposite elbow and just sway from side to side. And keep on breathing. One of the ways that we get the results of our practice, a result being feeling connected to other people and seen, is through breathing. Make some sound with your breath so that you hear yourself breathing and people around you can detect it. Imagine you hear in the room the people at home breathing, and at home that you hear us in the room breathing. Then hang in the center, press your feet down into the ground, and come rolling up to standing. Stretch your arms up overhead and look to the ceiling, and then reach up as high as you can. Even reach up and go back and just stretch the whole front of your body. Another breath to really reach, and then bring your hands into prayer position at the center of your chest. Set your gaze on one still point in the room. It's called your drishti when you set your gaze this way, and set an intention for the practice. You can use your intention like a mantra. As you build each pose, the mantra forward in your mind, phrase this way: what if I am, and then fill in the blank. 3 times we'll chant together. Take a deep breath in. Inhale, reach up, look up and stretch. Fold to the floor as you exhale. Lift up halfway. Low plank on the exhale. Upward facing dog. Downward facing dog. Breathe 3 times. 2 more. Last one, inhale. On the exhale, bend your knees and get ready. Step or jump up to your hands. Halfway lift. Forward fold. Press your feet down, stand up and reach and look for the ceiling. Up you go. Fold to the floor as you exhale. Inhale, lift up halfway. Drop or step into the low plank. Upward facing dog. Downward facing dog. Breathe 3 times. You may find the pace is a little faster than you feel inclined to, or a little bit slower, and we're working towards something together that's different than how we came in. On your last breath, exhale and bend your knees, then move up to your hands. Halfway lift, forward fold. Last time, stand up. Stretch as high as you can. Fold to the floor. Halfway lift, low plank. Upward facing dog, downward facing dog, and breathe. Imagination is one of the tools of our practice. Like, we have to imagine the people at home are here and we can hear them and they can hear us, for example. Let's take one more breath in. On the exhale, bend your knees, jump up to your hands. Halfway lift, forward fold. Now, chair pose, sit deep and reach your arms high and stay right here and breathe. So just imagine you're holding on to something at the ceiling, that if you hold on to it, you can then sit back deeper, where if you weren't holding on, you would fall down back on your seat. So that much stretch from your hips to your fingertips. Then one more breath and fold to the floor. Halfway lift, drop to your low plank. Upward facing dog, downward facing dog. Now step your right foot forward and lunge for warrior 1, arms overhead, and we'll breathe here. So you landed however you landed. Now, take a longer stride maybe for some of you. Anchor the back edge of your back foot without even looking at it. And then come lunging down deep into your front knee. Once you're down there and like you are really well aware of both of your legs, you might have to lunge deeper to feel it. Then just pull yourself up. So not your lunge, but your waist, your ribs, your chest, your shoulders, and look up to the ceiling. One more breath. Hands to the floor for chaturanga. Upward facing dog. Downward facing dog. Left side, step forward. Arms overhead. Sometimes in yoga, we don't always say imagination, but we might say to you, use your felt sense. So you have an ability to understand where your foot is, for example, without ever looking at it. It takes a little bit of your imagination, a little bit of deepening and opening wider. You're listening. So can you feel the back edge of your back foot pressing down? That'll straighten your back knee. I saw that difference. One more breath. Hands to the floor for chaturanga. Upward facing dog. Downward facing dog. Now breathe here. In your felt sense, press your palms down. Let your heels hang down heavy. And stretch your hips up and back. Take one more breath in. On the exhale, bend your knees and look forward, then jump up to your hands. Halfway lift, forward fold. Let's flow now, chair pose. You know how to feel for the seat, fold to the floor. Halfway lift, drop into the low plank. Upward facing dog, downward facing dog. Right foot forward and lunge. Inhale, just this one breath, reach up. Hands down, chaturanga. Upward facing dog, downward facing dog. Now the left side, step and lunge, then look up and reach. Hands down, chaturanga. Up dog, downward facing dog. The more we move, the more your heart rate will increase, the pace of your breathing will quicken, And we're just working on a smooth and steady breath. Take one more breath in. On the exhale, bend your knees and jump. Halfway lift, fold, chair pose, sit and reach, fold to the floor. Halfway lift, drop to the low plank and stretch here. Upward facing dog, downward facing dog, right side forward and lunge. Deep legs, lift from the pit of your belly, chaturanga. Upward facing dog, downward facing dog. Now the left side, step and lunge and press your feet down and reach, hands down, chaturanga. Up dog, downward facing dog. Work together with your breath. You know, they say that a flock of birds, they fly together because together they go further. That's true for us here too. Stay right here in this down dog, then raise your right leg into the air behind you. Bend your knee and flip the pose over until you have 2 feet on the floor. Press your 2 feet down and your left hand down. See if you can become aware of all 4 corners of your 2 feet in your one hand. See if you can notice that the floor has this rebounding quality, that your arches and your palm, the arch of your palm, they all lift up and get lighter. Even your armpit on your left side gets more hollow. Take another breath. Side plank, right hand down, face the long left side of your mat, stack your body up. Now press the 4 corners of your right hand down. With your fingertips squeezing the floor, you'll feel your palm hollow and your armpit hollow, and the whole thing will get a little lighter. Somehow it'll be a little easier to hold. One more breath, high plank to low. Upward facing dog, downward facing dog. Left leg in the air, bend your knee and flip the pose over. Just keep your breath flowing as you change from one position to the other. Now, you know you can start by putting energy in on noticing your feet, a felt sense of your arches lifting in the arc of your right palm, even your right armpit. When you have that, your hands and feet as a foundation, are you detecting any new strength in the pit of your belly? See if you press your feet, if the pit of your belly wakes up. One more breath, high plank to low. You got it. Upward facing dog, downward facing dog. From the down dog, right side, step it forward for crescent lunge, arms overhead. You don't even have to look at your back foot, but if you're going to sort out your foundation in your back foot, in your felt sense, feel what you feel. Most of us default by dropping the heel into the midline over the arch, and we're kind of like high in the lunge. Put some weight in your baby toe and lunge forward until your heel stacks right on top of your 5 toe knuckles. Once you have that and you have your deep lunge, reach up like you're pulling yourself out of your legs. Look up and stretch. Hands to prayer and twist. Left elbow to your right knee. Keep your breath flowing. Now imagine behind you, there was a wall and you're pressing the whole sole of your back foot into it. If you were to press that, how would your back leg wake up? How would the pit of your belly wake up? You're welcome to open your arms, reach for the floor and ceiling, or wrap your arm behind your back. Whole body on fire. 3 more breaths. That's it. Full steady breathing. You have 2 more. Finish your last one, then go to the crescent lunge. Keep your gaze settled. Open your body to warrior 2. Just let your eyes settle on one spot. You'll feel your whole system settle by doing that. Then feel what you feel in your legs. Can you go longer in your stride? Without looking, is your front knee pointing in the same direction as your toes in the front? Habit has us just move our eyes and look, and you can feel this. Extended side angle tilt. Reach for the floor with your right hand. Reach for the ceiling with your left hand. Now, from the teacher's perspective, I'll share with you, when people tilt, most of them unlunge. So bend your right knee a little bit more and reach your arms. Right here, take 3 more breaths. You got it. Strong pit of your belly. You got 1 more breath. Complete the whole thing, and then hands to the floor, low plank. Upward facing dog, downward facing dog. Then step your left foot forward and lunge. Come right into the crescent lunge and set your gaze. Keep your breath flowing and start to feel what you feel in your body. And then based on what you feel and sense, start making changes. change to the back foot, change in the front leg, change to the pit of the belly, and follow the lead of that. Do you have more room to stretch? Do you have more room to back bend? You've got it. Lunge down deeply into your front knee so that you get a little bit more back bend. You can reach up and look back. Then hands to prayer position and twist. So now it's right elbow, left knee. Keep on breathing. Once you have the foundation, like your elbows connected, you got your feet on the floor, bring the belly in. A very common default here is to just let the right hip sag and sink. Collect your pose up. So like from the bird's eye view, both sides of your pelvis are level. Sometimes one of the things that I think about in this pose is to lunge more deeply, and then from the outside of my left knee to drag back, from the inside groin of my front knee to drag forward to the inner knee. One more breath. Reach up to the crescent lunge. Open to warrior two. Steady breathing. This, interestingly enough, the hip opening pose, so that front leg that you've got bending right now, you might even use a self-assist to just use your hand to just roll this thigh out. So this gets long on the inside, this draws back on the outside, and you can lunge more deeply. Tilt for extended side angle. The whole time, keep your breath flowing. So bend this guy. Yes. And then maybe stretch your arms. Sometimes stretching them instead of the resting on your knee, maybe you need to rest on your knee, but sometimes stretching them makes the whole thing easier. One more breath. High plank to low. Upward facing dog. Downward facing dog. Take one breath in. On the exhale, bend your knees. Jump up to your hands. Half lift. Forward fold. Chair twist to the right. So set it up your way. Sit back. Hands to prayer. Twist. Left elbow to your right knee. Keep on breathing. See where your body takes you by listening to its ability to breathe freely. Maybe you'll open your arms or half bind your pose or take on a variation like side scissors or bird of paradise. Wherever you are, the pose essentially stays the same. Like for everyone, whichever variation you're in, you can just breathe and expand your chest and upper back. Take one more breath here. Reach up to chair pose from wherever you are and forward fold. Feet hip width distance, hook your big toes with middle and index fingers and stretch your chest down to your toes. You might even shift your weight from foot to foot like you're crawling down toward the floor out of your pelvis. Keep breathing and creating both length and width in the back of your pelvis. Maybe take a breath with a sigh and allow the next step of the pose to happen. Chair twist the other way. Sit back, set it up. Hands to prayer and twist. Right elbow to your left knee. Steady breathing. Yes, left knee forward, right knee back a little more. Strong pit of the belly. So shift your gears this way. So this one back, this one more forward, but stay with your twist so the two sides of your pelvis stay level. And then stretch and breathe. Let's go for one more breath in. And then exhale, chair pose, forward fold, gorilla pose. Feet hip width distance and slide your palms under your feet from the front. And then just shake out your head and your shoulders. Keep on breathing. And let your neck get a little bit longer. Not only is imagination, felt sense, a tool we're using throughout the practice and fine-tuning and honing, but also letting go. There's a whole yoga sutra or an organizing principle. We call it balanced action, but it's Sukha Sthira Asanam. It's one of the yoga sutras. It means like creating a balance of both easy and hard. One more breath. Let's take the crow pose on your back today. Lie down on your back. Then make your diamond-shaped legs and make your crow arms inside of your knees. Make resistance by pressing out with your arms and in with your knees. And take another breath. As you exhale, curl up, tail up, shoulders up, head up, and hold your crow pose here. Yes, it's kind of weird and hard in a way, isn't it? Yes, while you're holding this, exactly like you guys are doing, let your shoulders relax. Let the curl up and fold be at your bottom ribs. Keep on breathing. Let the back of your neck be long. Take one more breath. Hug your knees into your chest, rock back and forth and through to downward facing dog, whatever that looks like. All the way through to downward facing dog. In your down dog, stretch back. In your down dog, take a breath in and a sigh. Then one more time, breathe in. On the exhale, bend your knees, look forward and jump. Half lift, forward fold. Come all the way up to standing and sweep your arms overhead. Right side eagle pose. You can wrap your right arm under your left elbow, make a cross, bend, and wrap your forearms if you can. Your right leg, wrap it high over your left thigh. Maybe you'll rest your toes on the floor. Maybe you can tuck them behind your calf muscle and keep on breathing. Then once your arms are wrapped and your legs are wrapped, squeeze them and pull your legs down to the ground, like sit down, and pull your arms up to the ceiling so your whole body's being pulled in 2 directions. One more breath. Step out on the inhale. Left side on the exhale. Left arm under, left leg over. Steady breathing. See if you can sit really low. Try sitting deeper and see if you have access to it. Once you get down there, the foundation and the pit of your belly becomes so important. Keep breathing and hug the pit of your belly. That's the area in the front of your pelvis. Hug it in and lift it up. Keep that. Step out, inhale, stretch up. Right side, right arm under. Squat, right leg over. Breathe. Try to tuck your toes if you think you're even a little bit close. It'll give you extra stretch in your ankle. Sometimes mine fits, sometimes it doesn't. I check for it, and I just work with what's showing up today. Step out. We'll do the other side. Reach up on your inhale, left arm under, squat, left leg over. Great steady breath going on here in the room. As we come in through these balancing poses, they're physically challenging. The heart rate rises. Step out, arms overhead. Hug your right knee into your chest. It's your ability to maintain a steady breath that is the challenge. You can hold onto your foot or your big toe and extend your right knee forward. A strap can be a great tool here as well. So legs straight out in front of you. Holding onto your toe promotes flexibility. Not holding on promotes strength. You pick. And then what's tempting is to kind of lean back and press away from you. See if you can keep drawing this thigh back and standing tall. One more breath, toes a little higher. Then hug your knee into your chest, open up to airplane pose. So stretch. Keep breathing. Now you can't really see it, but you can feel it, your back leg and your lifted foot. Wake it up. Maybe wiggle your toes. Just get your brain to connect to it. And then notice it and work with whatever's there. Hands to prayer position, half moon. You bring your left fingertips to the block or floor, right arm in the air. Keep on breathing. You're going to need the pit of your belly for sure here. You don't have very many hands and feet touching anything solid. You'll have to use your felt sense, your imagination. Like I always imagine I'm touching the ceiling and I'm standing on the wall behind me. Take another breath. Just reach up and look up and forward fold. 2 feet on the floor. You could sway from side to side and then come up to standing and hug your left knee into your chest. Steady breathing. Hug your left knee. Choose to hold your foot or extend your knee without holding on. If you're extending, it can be really helpful to reach overhead or strongly put your hands on your hips. Take a breath, and when you exhale, sigh and let this hip crease sort of settle and get easier, and then use the pit of your belly to lift your toes higher. Hands to prayer, reach back to airplane pose. There are so many different ways to look at any given pose. You could do the same pose every day and have a different experience of it for the rest of your life. Now open up, full expression, then hands to prayer, half moon. Right fingertips to the blocker floor, left arm in the air, the pit of your belly being like the control center of the pose. Strong, reaching out to your kicking and lifting foot. Listen for the breathing in the room, coming out of your body, coming from home and us to you at home. One more breath. Forward fold and hang. Come rolling up to standing, arms overhead. Flow right into right side standing bow. Bend your knee, hold your ankle from the inside, left arm in the air. Then reach, knee down and fingers up. And then start stretching. As you go, keep breathing. And each exhale, you can just let go. Each inhale, you can create space. And then be an explorer through your felt sense. Discover the pose as though you've never been in it before. And then what's possible from right here as the pose is right now. One more breath. Come on out. Feet on the floor. Take the left side. Left arm bone back. Left forearm open. Hold your ankle from the inside. Once you come into the felt sense, it's an inner listening through sensation. You then can modify poses. You could bring it to the ground and get the same impact. Maybe you're super flexible and you're kicking it really high, but all the different variations give a powerful impact. Each day, just customizing your practice by what shows up, not what you decided to do. Step out. Now put your feet on the floor, maybe your hands on your hips, and take a sigh and let your system settle. Let's do a second set, right side. The second sets are always sort of a mixed bag, like I really don't want to, but it's a great opportunity. And you're ready for it. You get in there, and there's a place here for you to take yourself somewhere into the realm of healing. You got to intend for it. You got to imagine it. You got to feel for it. A million variations. Henry's taking a variation where he's just standing here and letting his system settle, and it all works. Now, the fullest expression for you. And step out. Feet on the floor and switch sides. Left arm back, hold your ankle from the inside. Right arm in the air. Kick and reach. Steady breathing. See, we all have a role in the practice, whether we're doing this later at a different time on demand, at home on live stream, here in the room. Some of you bring breath, some intention, some steadiness, some the challenge of balance. Come on out. Front of your mat for tree pose, left foot down, right foot up, hands to prayer position. It's your last of the balancing poses. It's put into the order in this fashion for a reason. From where you are, what's available to you out of this pose right now? Little run through, an inner checklist of got my breath, got my drishti, foundation's working. Am I tapped into feeling and knowing that the heat is happening, the flow? One more breath here. Switch sides. Right foot down, left foot up. Keep your breath steady as you switch. Many variations, hands to prayer in front, hands to prayer in back, arms overhead. The cow face arms, a million variations you can choose. You find the variation that's right for you today just by listening to your own experience. One more breath. When it's complete, step to the head of your mat. Once you're at the front of the mat, inhale and sweep your arms overhead. Fold to the floor as you exhale. Halfway lift, drop to the low plank. Upward facing dog, downward facing dog. Step your right foot to the inside of your right hand and for triangle pose. Land your foot, open your arm. Breathe. Work with what showed up. Put your attention maybe first on your feet. Point your front foot straight forward. Angle your back foot at toes turned in. Keep breathing. As you breathe, just keep on allowing the right hip crease to deepen, to sink deeper and deeper. You may notice then your left crest of your hip starts to open more. You got to look for results. Strong pit of your belly. See if there's some back bend in the pose for you today. How would you set yourself up for that? Well, you make sure your feet are strong and your belly's strong. And then you take your hand that's on the floor and just move it back a little further. It gives you access and space to take the back bend. That's it, Kelly. The belly, it holds you from falling. Come on up to standing. Face the long left side of your mat. Hands to your hips, feet parallel to the short sides, and forward fold. Come all the way down, walk your fingers in front of you, and sink your hips back behind your heels and breathe here. Sometimes I like to walk my hands through my feet. Both of those do really nice things for the stretch, but different things. As you practice day by day, you start to learn different variations and what they do for you. And then as you're in the practice of the day, breathing and listening, then automatically it just comes out. This is the variation for today. One more breath. Come on up to standing. Turn and face the front of your mat. Standing, single leg forward fold. Maybe cross your hands behind you and hold your opposite elbow and lift your chest up. Take a long stride. So these really short strides, you're going to end up bowing at the waist. This is a forward fold. We want to crease at the hips and fold all the way down. Stretch out the back of your front leg. Lengthening your back. Even the weight between your 2 feet. So bring some weight into your front leg. Shift. Yeah, keep shifting. Keep shifting. That's the middle. You may need to soften your front knee a little bit more now. Keep on breathing. Bring some weight into your front leg. Keep shifting into your front leg. You may need to bend your knee more. Keep on shifting into your front foot. I know that's weird, isn't it? Twisting triangle. Left fingertips on the block or floor. You can reach out with your right hand. You could put it on your right hip. Sometimes I just like to take my right hand and really just reach it back behind me. A really defined reach back so I can get the opposition of my hand back and my head forward as I turn and really get some ringing out along my spine. While you're here in the pose, take a breath in. On the exhale, open, then hands to the floor, downward facing dog. Left side triangle, step your left foot forward. Just keep your breath flowing as you do the work of transitioning from one pose to the next. Left fingertips on the block or floor. So Rachel, go longer in the stride. Keep the back toes angling in. And then with that front foot, big toe pressing down, fold. This is in the forward fold family. Left hand on the floor. Keep pressing your front foot's big toe down. Make length through here now and open to the right. Yeah, your hand's good. You might find it by softening that. There it is. Just a mini bend. Here you can even shrug your shoulders to your ears and move your arm bones onto the back of your body. Yes. One more time. Breathe in. Long body. Breathe out. Come on up to standing. Face the long right side of your mat. Bring your hands around behind your back and interlace them. Lift your chest up high and forward fold. Steady, steady breathing. Once you get down here, check out your feet. Sometimes you fold and your toes start moving out a little bit wider than your heels. Set your heels wider because it targets the backs of your legs. Targeting the back of your legs targets your lower back, targets your middle back, moves into your neck and the crown of your head. While you're breathing, check this out in your body. See if you could become aware of there being something that's connected from your heels up the back of your legs, through your back body, all the way through and around to your eyebrows. See if you could become aware of that. Something internally, bringing all of those spaces into connection. Come on up to standing. Turn and face the front leg. Standing single leg forward fold. Prayer hands behind your back, pointing up or pointing down. Then lift your chest up and fold over your front leg all the way down. The default here is that we tend to kind of drop the left hip and push a lot of weight out into the back hip. From the back, what the teacher sees is that your hips are unlevel. Weight coming forward into your front leg levels it back out. It targets the stretch right down the center back of your front leg then. Twisting triangle, right hand to the block or floor. Little softness for most of the front knee so that this hip crease on the left side can keep sinking back. We've looked at the hip crease now a few times, a few poses. Keep breathing. Kelly, bring some weight into your back leg. Yes, and soften your front knee and get the long flat back. Yes, right there. Take a breath in. Turn open. Hands to the floor, downward facing dog. Step back. Stretch out. Come to a high plank and lower all the way down to your belly on the mat. Reach around behind you and interlace your fingers. And the same way your legs just were for that push-up, the chaturanga that got you here, keep your legs that way. Your toes turned under, your legs active. Then take a breath in. And as you exhale, press your heels back and your hands back to the back of your room. And then stretch the crown of your head forward, the center of your chest forward. So you might think of it from the front crease of your ankles all the way up to the crown of your head forward. And then from the crown of your head back to your heels back. You got it. Just keep on breathing and check that out. See if you can broaden your lower back by pressing your heels back more. One more breath. Come on down and just shake your hips from side to side. Bend your knees, reach back and hold your ankles for floor bow pose. You'll want to flex your feet, your ankles. So your feet, if you could imagine them, they're going to press and stand on the ceiling above you. That's it. So if you keep your knees hip width distance, you don't let them flare out wide, and you press your big toes up to the ceiling, can you imagine that your feet are standing on the ceiling? All four corners even of both of your feet. Just imagine that. The ball of your big toe, the ball of your little toe, your inside heel, your outside heel. One more breath. Come on down. You can wave your feet from side to side. Let's do the second one, second set. So if you're doing one side at a time, you'll do the other side. Otherwise, we're taking a second set holding both feet. Get ready and go. Any kind of a back bend relies on first that your feet are parallel to one another, hip width distance, lined up like they're two hands on a clock facing 12 o'clock, wherever they are in space. That's the definition of the feet in a back bend. Why? It keeps the lower back broad. Why do you need that? So there's room for the tailbone to descend. One more breath. Come on down. Put your hands on the floor beside your bottom ribs and lift your body up into upward facing dog. Shoulders back, just lift your chest. Move into downward facing dog. Stretch back. Then we'll take hero pose. Bring your knees down onto the ground. Bring them together or hip width distance, but not wider. Toes, point them straight back so you can stretch the fronts of your ankles. Then work your way back and see where you can get to. Some of us will be here. Some will sit on a block. Some will sit their butt on the floor between your feet. Find where it suits your body today. So straight back. Can you hug this inner side of your ankle to your side of butt? Yeah. Sit right on the floor between them. Feet open a little wider, butt in between on a block or the floor. Then if your butt's on the floor, not a block, if the butt's on a floor, then you can start reclining back one hand at a time, one elbow at a time, even down to your shoulders. What we don't want to have happen is that your knees lift up or get super wide. You might be feeling it now, how your quad muscles, these muscles in the fronts of your thighs are really stretching. You might be feeling it in your knees. Some of you, it probably feels like your calf muscles are in the way. Work with what you're discovering and breathe there. I know, it's like good and bad all at the same time. When I first started regularly taking yoga, this pose was one of the poses that was always done. It was awful. Like I couldn't lean back. I couldn't lay back. I couldn't stand being in it. And over time it changed. And then when I don't practice, over time I realize, oh, that got tight again. I have to work on it again. Okay, bring yourself up out of it into a tabletop and stretch your legs out one at a time. You'll feel fresh, oxygenated blood, fluids rushing back into the joints of your knees and ankles. And then we'll take a second set. So a lot of times we do a camel pose here. This is somewhat of a more extreme version of it. So feet open wide, sit your hips down, right between your feet on the floor or on a block. Keep on breathing. You can take your palms or your fists and press them into the arches of your feet and out toward your baby toe. Nice. Keep breathing. It must be a whole brand new experience in some of your bodies because all of a sudden there's just no breathing. If you feel like you can recline, go ahead and do that. You probably could do that, Nikki. I'm not sure. Then don't go further. Some days my knees just don't love this, but when I do then do it, it helps whatever got tight and was making my knees hurt feel better. Okay, come on out and stretch your legs out once again. Then you can stretch into downward facing dog. Once you get complete with the stretching, you can move through your hands and sit down and roll onto your back for bridge pose. Once you're on your back, knees bent, ankles under your knees, hip width distance, press down with your feet and shoulders and lift up with your hips. You can feel how this back bend is going to be restricted by how tight, bulky, strong, or open and flexible your quads are. Nothing wrong with being strong, nothing wrong with being flexible. It's just whatever is there is there. And then you work with it. Then you can really tuck your shoulders under your body by rocking your weight from side to side and see if you can interlace your hands and press your elbows straight. Breathe there. Let the front of your shoulders just soften. Take another breath and come on out of this bridge pose. You can move your knees from side to side. And set up a next one. Second bridge pose. Feet on the floor, press down and come on up into the bridge. Feet hip width distance and press them down into the ground. Now, keep your right foot on the ground and pressing like this. Don't move it. Bring your left knee into your chest. That might be a little tricky. And reach your left toes up to the ceiling. So you want to get the 2 feet opposite and pressing, 2 big toes pressing. And bring your right foot on the floor. And then bring your left knee into your chest and reach up to the ceiling with those toes. If you could imagine while you're reaching that there's something inside this knee on the floor and this arch, yeah, and you were gently hugging just like Tamara's doing. It kind of like locks you into your core strength. Do you feel that? Yeah. Knee to your chest and foot on the floor. Knees go side to side. You can come on down. Now we'll move from the bridge into the wheel. So let's get ready to go. We're going to go up and down a few times because it's like oiling the joints. Get ready. I'd start in the bridge, set up your hands, and press up into the wheel. All the way up. Get up there and see what's going on in your body today. Now, of course, bridge is an alternative if wheel's just not right for you today. Only you will know that. Then tuck your chin and come on down. Knees side to side. Let's go for the next one. Without a lot of extra thought, press down, follow your body as the lead, and come on up. Now locate the knuckles of your big toes, press them into the ground. This meat like of the thumb, it's on the palm, press it down and come on down. Knees side to side. And set up for the next one. Hands, feet on the floor, press down, rise up. I often at this point like to see if I can walk my hands in any closer to my feet. Sometimes I do that at first by tippy-toeing. Later, after I've done a few, I can press my heels down and my quads stretch even more. Tuck your chin and come on down. Knees side to side. Let's go again. Hands, feet on the floor, press and rise. Right inside the flow of your breath. Just locate the 4 corners of both feet and both palms. As they press down, how is the pit of your belly? Come on down, chin in and come on down, knees side to side. So I see a lot of you exploring with your feet. Sometimes you get up there and you walk them out and turn them out really wide. When you do that, check in and see how your lower back feels. Some of you adjust from that to your feet being more parallel and less hips pushing up. Let's get up there with 2 more. See what you can see about all this. Press down and rise up. So see if you can open your heels a little wider, not your toes. Let your toes just stay right in front. Yeah. Do you feel how your lower back is now? A little more open. Tuck your chin and come on down. Knees side to side. We've got 1 more. Get ready for the last one. Set up your feet, set up your hands. Press and rise up into the pose. Just like we organize the feet, the hands need that too. Now there's some variation in hands, whether you turn your palms a little in or out. I find I have to point my finger straight at my feet. 1 more breath. Tuck your chin and come on down to Supta Baddha Konasana. So soles together, knees wide. Do listening in, like use your felt sense and feel, how do you feel in your lower back right now? How do you feel in your chest, your arms, your legs, your breath, your heart rate? Hug your knees into your chest. Hold the outer edges of your feet. Dead bug pose, rock from side to side and give your lower back a massage. Hopefully it's not feeling like it needs it, like we've been pressing into it. Hopefully it's a way to just explore the new space you created. Legs straight up in the air and flex your feet, and then curl up and reach across the room in front of you. So just curl. You want to create this that you're curled at your bottom ribs, the back of your neck is long, and relax your shoulders. Then every time we exhale, blow out and pulse a little more. Just like that, little pulses, not a lot of release and relaxing your head down. Just like that, go 10, 9, 8. Just keep your whole body stable from the core. Finish up the last few. When you finished, hug your knees into your chest. Now the next one we'll do. This next one is really going to challenge our ability to stay the whole core anchored, not rock from side to side. Extend your right leg long and your left leg in the air. Look at it already, not toes turning out, but pointing straight up and straight back, and curl. If you already feel your back arching or this thigh pushing away, maybe soften your knee and put your heel on the ground. And then pulse here. Pulse about 10 times. Listen into your lower back, and does it feel like the weight is even on the two sides of the back of your pelvis? It might feel heavier on one and lighter on the other. What would it take for those to feel balanced? Hug your knees. We have the other side we can do. Set it up. Curl up and reach. And then just imagine there's something hugging your inner arch, both feet, and pulse. Pulse. Suck your thigh bone back into your body. So squeeze here, and yeah, feel the difference? That's like a lot harder. Squeeze against my ankle. Yes, it locked into place. Now your whole body's trembling. Hug your knees into your chest. We'll do a workshop in the future on inversions. Watch for that. If I'm the one teaching it, come to that. And you'll learn to tap into your center line like this exercise was meaning to let you do. Okay, rock head to tail and through to downward dog and take right side pigeon. Right side pigeon pose. When we offer workshops, it's to get out of the routine of our usual practice for you to discover something new that will make a difference in your whole practice. Just like Debbie's workshop coming up this weekend. So consider this. Remember crescent lunge. We did it at the beginning of the class. It's very square hips. This is really the same pose. There's a variation, of course, in your front thigh. It's rolled out and your shins across the front of your mat. And with that in mind, we're not looking for the hips to kind of spread open. We're looking to collect, to draw in and keep them square, and see what that offers us in opening and stabilizing our lower back. Switch sides. Left leg forward. So rather than at the knee, all the way up in the hip, that's where the thigh bone rolls out. Kelly, watch that your knee is not going way out there at an angle. Bring it straight forward here in front of your hip. Yes. Yes. Sit on your left hip. Swing your right leg around for double pigeon. Double pigeon, it kind of is easy to get kind of caught feeling very curled up. Our back, our spine, like the letter C. This is in the forward folding family. You might sit your hips on a block and elevate them. We want the hips back and the lower back sitting up and tall. So maybe you're sitting on a block or a blanket. Maybe you're taking the pose this way or this way. You just pick what works for you. I would point this out to you, that your ankles, they hang off the sides. So my ankle, different from like crisscross applesauce, the way you sit on the carpet in kindergarten, it's more stacked up. This lets me work my thigh bones back and get up out of my lower back. See what you have to work with in your body here today. Maybe you sigh from time to time. It gives you a little more space to fold into the pose. You can deepen it. Give yourself an assist by bringing your palms back your thigh onto your thigh bones near your hip sockets and roll those out and press them down. Different from pushing your knee down. The knee could be the victim of this pose. The work is the hips. So keep your work here. And you can press as hard as you want back near your hips. Okay, switch sides. Switch sides. Activate your ankles. Wake your feet up. Yeah. Feet are such a funny thing. They take a long time in your practice to just get them to be active. But the activity there changes the muscles that are being targeted in your body in a pose. I'll never forget years ago taking one of my earlier classes with my teacher. I was pretty flexible and I'd grown up doing gymnastics. I could do a lot of stuff. We were sitting in a similar pose where the feet were really important. And I was like, didn't have any connection to my feet. And he walked around and tapped my feet. He's like, lazy. Okay, let's come out of this. Let's take the seated single leg extension. Long right leg, bend your left leg, turn and face your long leg and fold. Also a really nice pose to have your hips a little bit elevated. Most people need a little bend in their right knee. Not quite a whole block necessarily. A water bottle could be perfect. Check out your outside ankle. Even when your feet are up and active, let's show so we can see this. It's still possible that they're kind of like sickling. So pull your baby toe back. Now, what do you feel differently? A little more the back of the knee, the calf, the hamstring. Switch sides. We don't switch up the poses a lot because we're always working to build a foundation that takes you maybe into something a little bit more, I don't know, like ready for your cover shoot of a yoga magazine. And what we're really working for is a body that feels good, it's strong, it's healthy every single day of your life. Instead of those once in a moment flashes where like something looks impressive, all instead about your felt sense and through your felt sense bringing natural healing. 2 legs forward and forward fold. Hips elevated here would be nice. Reach for your baby toe side of your foot and pull it back towards your face. Once you get settled in here and you're just working your feet, you can rock your weight from cheek to cheek and keep walking your thigh bones back and back. This is a forward fold. Check this out. It's different. Take another breath, straighten your knees, drop your chin and pull your belly back into your spine. This is a seated ragdoll. We started the class hanging in ragdoll pose. It's a really round body. Then come on up and take reverse tabletop. Hands on the ground behind you, press down, rise up. You got it. As you press, just let your chest open. Sit down and roll onto your flat back and roll your feet overhead for plow pose. Just keep breathing here. See if you have access to taking your feet overhead for shoulder stand. In the shoulder stand, pick one spot and put your gaze on it and keep your breath steady. And then bring your toes to the floor for plow pose. From the plow pose, knees beside your temples or your ears for deaf man's pose. This being the most letter C, like as in cat, shaped spine that we create. Instead of letting it collapse, like to melt where you can't breathe, see if you're able to keep space in the shape. Then come rolling out of it, just one bone at a time, and hug your knees into your chest. You can drop your knees to the left and look to the right. Switch sides. In the center now, Supta Baddha Konasana. Take this opportunity to arrange your bones on the ground in a supportive way. Pelvis, shoulders, skull. Maybe a sigh would be the right thing here to encourage some letting go. And then prepare yourself for Shavasana. In the studio, there are cold eye towels available. Stretch your legs out long and wide and your arms wide for Shavasana. Once you get your body organized, feels pretty good for Shavasana, again, take a sigh. Sometimes there's nothing better than this moment of deep rest where you know there's nothing left for you to be or do. The moment, how it is, you, it's all whole, perfect, and complete. You have this freedom then to just be. There's nothing to change about you. Start to add a little bit of movement by deepening your breath, wiggling your fingers and your toes, maybe giving them a squeeze. And then hug your knees into your chest, roll to your side, and sit up. Once you're sitting, sweep your arms overhead, just stretch, and bring your hands into prayer position. Give yourself a moment to do one last purposeful listen. Listen for how your body feels, what your experience is right now, what your emotional experience is, and know that it's exactly the way it was meant to be. And from here, set an intention for the rest of your day. 3 times, let's chant together. Take a deep breath in. Bring your thumb knuckles to the center of your forehead. Inhale. And exhale. Namaste. Excellent work. Thank you. If you ever want to learn a little bit more about our methodology, new nuances to your practice, our Access training is an 8-month deep dive. It begins in September, or also in September, we're taking another retreat. It's about a 3-hour drive north to the Himalayan Institute. There's an early bird special right now of $400. It's $450 later, and then rooming is separate there. but that is a more traditional yoga center. And so I'll teach you yoga every day, but they'll also do a seated workshop where they teach you about the history of yoga. And then at the end, I'll bring that together with our methodology. So you have a little bit of understanding about where our style of yoga came from. So if you have a curiosity about that, it might just be the getaway for you mid to late September. So let me know. That's called the Himalayan Institute. All right, have a great rest of your day. Thank you at home for joining us. We'll see you next time.